What if everything you have been told about intelligence is a lie? What if genius is not a gift granted by birth, nor a spark from the heavens, but a weapon forged in silence, sharpened in shadows, and wielded with ruthless precision? Men imagine genius as inspiration, as the gentle muse whispering in the ear of poets and saints. They imagine it as a divine blessing, a stroke of fortune, a talent wrapped in grace. But I tell you now, genius is nothing more than the ability to see what others refuse to see, to grasp what they cannot, and to bend that knowledge toward your advantage. Genius is not a crown handed down by fate. It is a blade you must steal, hide, and use before the world realizes the danger in your hand. To understand genius, you must first kill the illusion that it is innocent, for true genius is not harmless, nor is it polite. It is subversive, it is dangerous, it is a crime against the ignorance of the masses. That is why it feels illegal, because the world fears what it cannot control, and nothing is more uncontrollable than a mind that refuses to obey its own chains. Consider this: most men are not thinkers, but imitators. They accept the rules handed to them, the truths delivered by priests, professors, and rulers. They consume what they are told, they repeat what they hear, and they mistake memorization for wisdom. Genius begins when you spit out the stale bread of common opinion and demand meat for yourself. It begins when you no longer trust appearances, when you understand that every truth you were fed was designed to keep you docile, manageable, harmless. The masses are cattle, and the shepherd keeps them calm with stories of virtue, law, and order. But the genius looks beyond the fence, sees the wolf in the trees, and asks, "Why should I graze when I can hunt?" This is the forbidden shift. To stop believing in the narratives crafted for your obedience, and to begin reading the world with your own ruthless eyes. Men call this cynicism, but it is the first taste of freedom. They call it dangerous, because it is. You must learn that appearances are nothing but costumes, that power drapes itself in robes of morality to conceal its naked hunger. The genius strips these disguises away. He sees the priest's sermon as propaganda, the politician's generosity as theft, the lover's devotion as strategy. This does not make him bitter, it makes him sovereign, for to know the true nature of things is to command them. While others kneel before symbols, the genius asks, who designed the symbol, and to what end? When the crowd applauds, he does not join the applause but studies the stage, the actors, the lighting, the machinery behind the curtain. Genius is not dazzled, it dissects, and in that dissection lies the power to create, to destroy, to rearrange reality itself. For once you understand the mechanism, you are no longer subject to it, you may operate it. But genius is not merely knowledge. Knowledge is plentiful, and most who gather it rot into pedants and professors, bloated with facts, yet powerless in action. True genius is the marriage of knowledge and action, what I call virtù. It is the ability to seize opportunity, to twist uncertainty into advantage, to move when others hesitate. Knowledge is sterile, without the will to use it. To read 1,000 books and do nothing is to be a library, not a genius. The true genius studies in order to strike, thinks in order to act, and disguises his action under the mask of inevitability. Others will call it luck, he knows it is calculation. Others will call it fate, he knows it is design. Genius is the art of making the improbable appear natural, the dangerous appear harmless, the ruthless appear necessary. Understand this clearly. Genius is feared not because of what it knows, but because of what it dares to do with that knowledge. A man who knows the weakness of his rivals but never uses it is no threat. But a man who sees the weakness, waits in silence, and then strikes with surgical cruelty, that man is unstoppable. Genius is inseparable from cunning. It is not enough to see the board, you must also move the pieces. To be called a genius is to be suspected of trickery, of hidden weapons, of unorthodox methods. And this suspicion is correct. For the genius bends rules, violates customs, and escapes cages built for lesser men. To the herd, this seems criminal because it exposes their own fragility. They cling to rules because without them, they are nothing. The genius sees rules as tools, bending them, breaking them, discarding them when they no longer serve his assent. And here is the bitter truth. The world does not reward the most intelligent, but the most cunning. Many bright men rot in obscurity because they believed their brilliance would shine on its own. But light without direction blinds no one. It must be focused, like fire through glass, to burn. The genius is he who takes his light and sharpens it into flame, who learns to weaponize his mind. And when he does, society recoils. For nothing is more destabilizing than a man who does not need permission to think, nor approval to act. To such a man, institutions are mere illusions, and authority is but a costume worn by those terrified of losing it. This man is called dangerous, arrogant, even insane. Yet in secret, others envy him. They sense his superiority but cannot name it. They whisper of his methods but cannot replicate them. And thus the genius becomes a phantom, a force that cannot be chained, a ghost that walks through walls others believe are real. Remember this: genius is not a comfortable condition. It isolates, it estranges. To see clearly is to be hated by those who prefer the comfort of blindness. To speak truth is to be silenced by those who profit from lies. The genius lives in tension with the world, admired and resented, sought and feared. But in this tension lies his throne. For men will follow the one who understands the storm better than they do. Even if they curse him, they will obey the one who predicts disaster and turns it into fortune. They will imitate the one who seems touched by fate, though his only gift is courage sharpened by intellect. And so the genius rules, not by right, not by inheritance, but by the sheer force of his perception and his will. The crowd may never know why they submit, but they submit all the same, sensing in him a power that transcends their timid existence. If you seek genius, then abandon the illusions of virtue and innocence. Do not aspire to be loved for your brilliance, but feared for your clarity. Do not waste time proving your intelligence to fools. Use it to outmaneuver them. Do not crave applause, engineer outcomes. Genius is not a performance, it is a silent conquest. It does not seek validation, it seizes results. To walk this path is to live dangerously, but also to live sovereign. For the genius does not ask, he takes. He does not follow, he leads. He does not hope, he shapes. And when others look upon him baffled, unsettled, whispering that such power must surely be unlawful, he smiles, because they are right. Genius is a crime against mediocrity, and the only sin greater than committing it is refusing to. The illusion most men suffer from is that genius will be recognized and rewarded on its own. They believe the world is a meritocracy where brilliance naturally rises, where talent shines like gold no matter the darkness surrounding it. This is a fable crafted by rulers to keep the ambitious asleep, for in truth, brilliance without strategy is nothing but a target. The herd does not reward the man who makes them feel small, they punish him. The state does not crown the man who exposes its lies, it destroys him. This is why the genius must be more than brilliant. He must be cunning, he must be ruthless, he must master the theater of appearances as well as the reality beneath them. It is not enough to be right, you must also be untouchable. The cleverest bird who sings too loudly is hunted first, but the genius disguises his brilliance, cloaks it in humility, masks it with obedience, until the moment comes when the knife can be drawn without consequence. Do not misunderstand. Concealment is not weakness, it is power deferred. The fox survives not by roaring like the lion, but by moving unseen through the grass. The lion who reveals himself too soon is pierced by hunters' arrows, but the fox outlives them all. Genius learns this art of concealment. He does not parade his knowledge, he buries it like treasure, letting only fragments glitter in the sunlight, enough to disarm suspicion, but never enough to reveal the full scope of his arsenal. When others see him, they imagine he is like them, ordinary, unthreatening, perhaps even naive. This illusion is his shield, and while they dismiss him, he studies them, dissects their habits, notes their weaknesses. Then, when the time comes, he unleashes his brilliance like thunder, sudden and devastating, and they are crushed before they even knew they were at war. There is a rhythm to power that the genius must master. Silence, observation, preparation, and then strike. To act without rhythm is to act randomly, and random action is suicide. A ruler must not waste cruelty. It must be swift, effective, and memorable. In the same way, the genius must not waste revelation. He must calculate the moment when his insight will have the greatest impact, when it will destabilize rivals and consolidate his superiority. This is why men of lesser wit often seem more powerful in public. They reveal everything, all at once, in a blaze of desperate brilliance. But their light is like a firework, dazzling for a moment, then forgotten. The genius is not a firework, but a slow-burning flame that consumes everything in its path. He does not need the applause of the moment. He shapes the destiny of decades. His power is not in being noticed, it is in being unavoidable. Understand this paradox. To become a genius in the eyes of the world, you must first refuse the world's definition of genius. Society imagines genius as the harmless scholar, the eccentric poet, the absent-minded professor. These are safe categories, cages to contain dangerous minds. But true genius is not eccentric. It is strategic. It is not harmless. It is lethal. It is not absent-minded. It is cold, calculating, deliberate. To accept the world's definition of genius is to be declawed before you ever grow fangs. The true genius redefines himself. He does not become a prisoner of labels. He makes others prisoners of his silence. He knows the highest praise the masses can give is still poison, for it tempts him to play their game, to accept their approval as his measure. But the genius plays only for one prize, dominion. Everything else is distraction. The masses are terrified of the mind that cannot be bought. They cannot comprehend the man who acts without craving applause, who thinks without needing validation, who moves without explaining himself. Such a man is not just intelligent, he is incomprehensible. And what men cannot comprehend, they fear. This is the soil in which genius flourishes. To be feared for your clarity is more secure than to be loved for your charm. Love dies the moment it is inconvenient. Fear endures as long as power is real. A genius does not waste energy chasing affection. He cultivates an aura that compels submission. He may smile, he may flatter, he may even appear humble, but beneath this mask is a steel edge that everyone senses even if they cannot see it. They obey not because they admire him, but because somewhere in their bones they feel resistance is futile. Let me tell you what genius truly demands. Sacrifice. To think clearly is to cut away illusions, and illusions are the comfort of ordinary men. To see the truth is to stand alone in a world of sleepers. You will lose friends, for they preferred you blind. You will lose lovers, for they thrived on your weakness. You will lose approval, for your clarity offends their delusions. This is the tax of genius. And yet, in this loss, you gain everything: freedom, power, sovereignty. The man who clings to comfort dies nameless. The man who embraces clarity carves his name into history. Which fate do you prefer? To be loved for mediocrity or feared for brilliance? To drown in applause or to rule in silence? The choice is yours, but understand this: history remembers only those who chose power over comfort. So I tell you this now. Do not seek to be known as intelligent. Seek to be untouchable. Do not aspire to shine. Aspire to burn. Do not hope to be praised for your knowledge, but to wield it like a weapon that reshapes the battlefield. The world may call this immoral, criminal, even monstrous. Let them. Their judgment is nothing more than the whining of the weak in the presence of strength. Genius is not innocence. It is sovereignty. It is the right to see what others cannot, and to act while they tremble. It feels illegal because it breaks the hidden contract of mediocrity, the pact of blindness that binds the masses together. Break it without mercy. And when they recoil from you in fear and envy, know that you have succeeded, for you are no longer one of them. You are something greater. The path to genius is littered with corpses, not of men, but of illusions. To ascend, you must slaughter the comforting lies that keep others asleep. Kill the belief that truth is sacred. Kill the belief that morality is universal. Kill the belief that success is achieved by fairness. These are chains forged to bind you. The rulers of every age promote them because they keep the herd obedient, willing to be taxed, willing to fight wars, willing to kneel before symbols they do not understand. The genius severs these chains with a cold blade. He does not worship morality. He uses it. He does not defend fairness. He exploits its naivety. He does not cling to truth. He bends perception. And in doing so, he becomes something monstrous in the eyes of the masses, and yet irresistible because men are drawn to power even as they curse it. Do not believe, as the fools do, that knowledge is innocent. Knowledge is never innocent. It is either weaponized or wasted. The genius is he who takes knowledge and attaches it to ambition, like a blade to a hilt. Without ambition, knowledge is paper, fragile, forgettable, irrelevant. With ambition, it becomes steel, cutting, decisive, unforgettable. Consider how rulers have always feared philosophers who refused to serve them. Socrates was executed not because he lacked wisdom, but because his wisdom could not be controlled. Galileo was threatened, not because he saw truth, but because that truth undermined the throne of priests. Genius unsettles power unless it becomes power itself. So the wise man does not merely seek truth, he seeks to position truth as a tool of dominion. This is why true genius is rare. Most men are satisfied with being right. The genius is satisfied only when being right serves his conquest. Understand this law. Men judge not by reality but by appearances. A ruler may be weak, but if he appears strong, men submit. He may be cruel, but if he appears merciful, men praise him. He may be corrupt, but if he appears devout, men kneel. The genius sees this law and masters it. He never confuses his inner clarity with his outer mask. He knows that to show his hand is to lose it. He cultivates images, stories, reputations, carefully designed illusions that cloak his true nature. He smiles while plotting, he flatters while dissecting, he blesses while preparing the knife. And in this theater, he wins every battle before it begins. The herd believes in authenticity. The genius knows authenticity is suicide. Better to be called false and live than to be called sincere and die. Appearances are armor, reality is the hidden blade. But appearances alone are not enough. Genius must combine them with timing. To strike too early is to reveal oneself before the trap is set. To strike too late is to lose the advantage. The genius moves when necessity demands, and when opportunity whispers. He calculates, waits, and then delivers a blow that seems inevitable. Men call this destiny, but it is calculation disguised as fate. They marvel at how the genius always seems prepared, always ahead, always untouchable. They call it luck. But luck is nothing more than preparation meeting opportunity, and opportunity noticed only by eyes trained to see what others ignore. Genius is the art of positioning yourself so that fortune itself seems to obey you. There is also cruelty in genius, but not the cruelty of sadists. It is the cruelty of clarity. To see the world as it is to realize most men are weak, cowardly, and forgetful. They will betray you when it is convenient, flatter you when it is profitable, abandon you when you stumble. Genius accepts this without bitterness. He does not curse betrayal, he anticipates it. He does not fear abandonment, he prepares for it. He does not grieve when loyalty collapses, he replaces it. Men who cling to loyalty as if it were eternal are destroyed by it. Men who treat loyalty as a tool thrive. The genius knows this. Loyalty lasts only as long as it is useful. He uses it, rewards it, and discards it when it turns poisonous. This coldness does not make him less human. It makes him sovereign over his humanity. Now hear me clearly. Genius is not a comfortable throne. It is a battlefield, and every day you must sharpen your edge. The moment you soften, you decay. The moment you hesitate, rivals strike. The moment you trust blindly, you bleed. Genius demands vigilance, the endless study of men, the constant assessment of shifting power. It is not a gift, it is a discipline. The masses dream of genius as a spark. The genius knows it is a fire he must stoke relentlessly, or else it will die. He reads not for pleasure, but for strategy. He observes not for entertainment, but for patterns. He reflects not for comfort, but for weapons hidden in memory. His mind is a fortress, always guarded, always supplied, always prepared for siege. And yet, within this fortress, there is a secret freedom. The genius is not enslaved by illusions, not bound by approval, not shackled by lies. He walks through the world untouched, unmanipulated, unbroken. While others live as prisoners of perception, he writes the script, directs the play, and assigns the roles. This is why men whisper his name with fear and reverence. They sense he is not like them. He has stepped outside the prison and returned with the keys. They may call him dangerous, immoral, even criminal, but when disaster strikes, they will turn to him. For genius, once revealed, cannot be ignored. It compels submission, even from those who hate it. Most men confuse genius with talent. But talent is nothing more than the ability to perform within the limits that others have already drawn. A musician may have talent, but he plays notes composed by another. A scholar may have talent, but he builds his arguments on foundations he dares not question. Talent is obedience disguised as excellence. Genius, however, is defiance. It redraws the limits. It composes new notes. It demolishes old foundations. Talent seeks approval. Genius seeks dominion. Talent is applauded by the crowd. Genius is feared by rulers. This is why geniuses are rarely celebrated in their time. They disrupt the very system that distributes celebration. They are praised only once they are dead, when their power no longer threatens the order of the world. Do not be fooled. The genius who is applauded while alive has either tamed himself into harmlessness or has hidden his teeth so well that his enemies mistake him for a pet. To live as a genius is to live as both fox and lion. The fox sees what others cannot, the hidden traps, the unseen snares, the false promises that lure men to ruin. The lion provides the force, the courage, the brutality to act when the moment comes. Without the fox, the lion blunders into death. Without the lion, the fox starves in hesitation. The genius combines them both. He deceives when deception is needed, and he crushes when strength is demanded. Men admire one or the other, but they fear both. This is why rulers who possess only force are eventually betrayed, and those who possess only cunning are eventually exposed. The genius thrives because he lives in balance between terror and calculation, between patience and brutality. To underestimate such a man is to invite annihilation. Understand that mediocrity protects itself through morality. The weak invent moral codes to shame the strong into compliance. They call selfishness evil, ambition corrupt, cruelty unforgivable. They do this not because they love virtue, but because they fear domination. If everyone believes power is wicked, then no one will dare to seize it. But the genius laughs at such illusions. He does not apologize for ambition. He does not bow to morality designed by priests and rulers. He knows that every moral code in history was written by those who won, to chain those who lost. He studies these codes not to obey them, but to manipulate them, to cloak his rise in the language of virtue. When he strikes, he speaks of justice. When he seizes, he speaks of necessity. When he betrays, he speaks of destiny. And the masses, blind as ever, believe him. Genius is not moral innocence, it is moral mastery. But beware. Power pursued without discipline leads to ruin. Many men touch genius for a moment and are destroyed because they cannot restrain themselves. They reveal their brilliance too quickly. They flaunt their cunning too boldly. They indulge their cruelty without measure. In their haste, they provoke hatred, and hatred consumes them. Genius requires restraint as much as action. You must never be so feared that men unite against you. You must never be so cunning that men distrust you entirely. You must never be so cruel that men pray for your death. Balance is the secret. Appear merciful even as you are ruthless. Appear humble even as you are ambitious. Appear loyal even as you prepare betrayal. The genius survives not because he is the most brilliant, but because he is the most controlled. He knows that power is not seized in an instant but built, brick by brick, deception by deception, until the fortress cannot be shaken. There is a solitude to this path that few can endure. To think as a genius is to see patterns invisible to others, and this isolates you. You will speak, and they will not understand. You will warn, and they will laugh. You will plan, and they will mock. But in time, when their illusions collapse, when disaster strikes, when betrayal blooms, they will crawl back to you, begging for guidance. And in that moment, you will understand the price and the reward of clarity. The price is loneliness. The reward is dominion. Do not resist this loneliness. Embrace it, for it is the sign that you are no longer one of the herd. A general does not consult with soldiers on strategy. A ruler does not share his throne with peasants. So too, the genius must learn to walk alone, to guard his vision, to trust his own mind above all others. The masses call genius dangerous because it is. It threatens their fragile sense of order, their fragile morality, their fragile illusions. But to you, to the one willing to endure its weight, genius is liberation. It frees you from the prison of other men's lies. It frees you from the need for their approval. It frees you from the chains of superstition, custom, and fear. With genius, you are no longer a prisoner. You are the warden, and with every step, you will feel the truth, that the world is not a temple of virtue, but a battlefield of wills. On this battlefield, there is no law but strength, no truth but perception, no justice but victory. And in this brutal clarity, you will find the highest freedom, the freedom to shape reality itself. The first lesson of genius is disillusionment, but the second is creation. Once you have stripped away the illusions of morality, fairness, and truth, you stand in a void that terrifies ordinary men. Most, when confronted with this emptiness, retreat back into their chains, begging for someone to tell them what is right, what is safe, what is holy. But the genius does not retreat. He builds. He understands that the destruction of illusions is not the end but the beginning. With clarity comes responsibility, the responsibility to shape meaning rather than consume it, to dictate values rather than obey them, to craft illusions that serve you rather than enslave you. For if men must live under illusions, then let it be your illusions they serve. The genius does not worship the masks of others. He forges his own mask and makes the world bow before it. To command illusions, you must study men, for men are the raw material of power. They are not guided by reason, as philosophers claim, but by fear, hope, and habit. Their fear makes them submit, their hope makes them obedient, and their habits make them predictable. The genius treats men not as equals, but as instruments, chords to be struck, strings to be pulled, mechanisms to be used. He knows that praise intoxicates, punishment terrifies, and routine numbs. He dispenses each with calculation, never with sentiment. When he rewards, he does so not to honor but to bind. When he punishes, he does so not for justice but for deterrence. When he creates custom, he does so not for tradition but for control. And men, blind to his designs, call him virtuous, merciful, or wise. But he knows he is none of these things. He is effective. Effectiveness is the only true virtue, and weakness the only true vice. Consider how power cloaks itself in the language of morality to disarm resistance. A ruler taxes not to enrich himself, but to support the common good. He censors not to suppress truth, but to protect the people. He wages war not for conquest, but for peace. These are illusions, but illusions wielded with mastery. The genius does not despise them, he imitates them. For to govern perception is to govern reality. Men will tolerate cruelty if it is cloaked in justice, theft if it is cloaked in charity, ambition if it is cloaked in destiny. They do not see the dagger if it is wrapped in silk. Genius therefore requires fluency in hypocrisy, the ability to speak nobly while acting ruthlessly, to smile while scheming, to bless while betraying. He who rejects hypocrisy rejects power, and he who rejects power condemns himself to irrelevance. Yet let us be precise, genius is not chaos. The fool believes that to reject morality is to indulge every impulse, to drown in excess, to revel in destruction. This is madness, not mastery. The genius knows that power without discipline consumes itself. He is ruthless, but never reckless. He uses cruelty swiftly, efficiently, and only when it serves a purpose. He lies, but only when the lie will endure. He betrays, but only when betrayal secures greater dominion. He indulges neither vanity nor impulse, for these are the cracks through which power leaks. While others are drunk on their victories, the genius sharpens his vigilance. While others are blinded by their own image, the genius studies his enemies. Restraint is not weakness, it is the highest expression of strength. For to master others, you must first master yourself. And what of fortune, that fickle mistress who elevates some and ruins others? The masses believe fortune rules all, that success is luck, that failure is destiny. The genius rejects this passivity. He knows fortune can be influenced, cornered, even dominated by those who prepare relentlessly. Fortune is a river that floods the careless and drowns the idle. But the genius builds channels, walls, and mills to turn its current into power. He anticipates chaos, plans for disruption, and positions himself so that every shift of fate bends toward his gain. Others curse misfortune, he converts it. Others pray for blessings, he engineers them. To the crowd, this looks miraculous. To the genius, it is only calculation. He does not surrender to fortune, he subdues it. But here lies the final truth. Genius is lonely because it cannot be shared. Men do not want clarity, they want comfort. They do not want truth, they want illusions. They do not want power, they want safety. When you strip away their masks, they do not thank you, they hate you. When you reveal their chains, they do not break them, they cling tighter. This is why geniuses are betrayed, exiled, silenced. Their crime is not seeing, it is refusing to pretend. To walk this path is to accept this exile, to carry your clarity as both crown and burden. Yet in this solitude lies the highest prize, freedom from the prison of lies, mastery over those who cling to them, and the quiet knowledge that you are not like the rest, you are sovereign. They may curse you, but they will obey you. They may fear you, but they will follow you. For genius, once revealed, compels submission as surely as fire compels respect. Therefore, I tell you, do not seek to be harmless. Do not seek to be pure. Seek to be effective. Seek to be untouchable. Seek to see the world not as it pretends to be, but as it is, a theater of power, an endless contest of wills, a stage where only those who master illusion, timing and restraint will prevail. To walk this path is to live dangerously, but it is the only life worth living. For in a world of sleepwalkers, the man who sees clearly will always be called dangerous. And dangerous men, though feared, are the only ones who shape history. The genius learns early that men are not guided by reason but by symbols. A flag can rally armies, a crown can command loyalty, a scripture can enslave nations. None of these hold power in themselves. Their power lies in the belief men project onto them. Genius understands this, and never wastes time debating truth with the masses. He does not argue whether the symbol is real or false. He simply uses it. For men will kill for symbols they cannot define, and die for causes they cannot explain. To control men, you must control their symbols. To elevate yourself, you must clothe your ambition in banners they recognize, even as you laugh privately at their blindness. This is why genius is not only intellect but stagecraft. It is the ability to orchestrate illusions so potent that they outlast truth itself. Watch how rulers have done this for centuries. The church cloaked power in holiness, teaching peasants to bow before priests who lived better than kings. Monarchs cloaked greed in divine right, convincing armies that their expansion was heaven's will. Modern states cloak theft in economics, disguising taxes as contributions and inflation as growth. These are illusions, but illusions so well crafted that generations defend them as reality. The genius sees through them all. He does not kneel, he does not worship, he does not contribute. Instead, he studies the mechanics of illusion, and when his moment comes, he creates his own. He understands that perception governs action more securely than truth, and so he invests less in truth than in spectacle, less in morality than in narrative, less in justice than in control. While others shout about virtue, he builds stages from which to appear virtuous while tightening the chains unseen. But here is the brilliance. Genius does not overuse deception. He knows that if every word is a lie, the mask will crumble. He sprinkles truth into his falsehoods like seasoning, enough to make the illusion digestible. He admits small faults to conceal larger schemes. He grants minor freedoms to cloak deeper chains. He offers kindness after cruelty to make his reign appear balanced. Men are so desperate to believe that even the faintest whisper of sincerity convinces them. Thus, the genius appears humane, while being utterly calculating. He appears merciful, while cruelty builds his throne. He appears ordinary, while his mind calculates beyond their grasp. The balance is delicate, but once mastered, it becomes an empire of shadows. And from these shadows, he rules more absolutely than any brute force could. Do not mistake this for cowardice. To live by illusion requires iron discipline. It is easier to be openly cruel than to be cruel in silence, smiling while wielding the knife. It is easier to shout one's ambition than to smother it beneath masks of humility. It is easier to dominate openly than to orchestrate domination through subtlety. But the genius accepts this burden because he understands that open force invites rebellion, while disguised force secures obedience. Fear alone can breed hatred, but fear balanced with illusion breeds loyalty. Men will curse a tyrant, but they will die for a myth. Genius therefore chooses myth, not because he believes it, but because he knows others will. He does not drink his own wine, he serves it to others, and watches them stumble into obedience. Yet the genius also knows that illusions are not eternal. They must be refreshed, reinvented, sharpened with new disguises as old ones decay. A ruler who clings to yesterday's symbols becomes a relic, a ghost mocked by his own people. The genius does not cling, he evolves. He sheds symbols when they weaken, invents new ones when the old fail, and always stays one step ahead of the crowd. Where they cling to tradition, he forges innovation. Where they expect stability, he introduces controlled chaos to keep them off balance. For to dominate perception, you must never let it grow comfortable. Comfort breeds questions, and questions break illusions. Better to keep men restless, chasing ever-changing signs, than to let them sit still long enough to wonder why they kneel. This art of constant reinvention demands solitude. For the crowd cannot teach you how to deceive it, only silence can. The genius spends hours in reflection, not for comfort, but for calculation. He studies history, not for nostalgia, but for strategy. He watches men, not for amusement, but for patterns of weakness. His solitude is not escape, but preparation. And when he emerges, his words carry weight, not because they are true, but because they are sharpened by silence. The crowd feels the force of his presence without knowing why. They sense the clarity in his voice, the inevitability in his tone, the command in his gaze. This is the result of hours hidden from the world, sculpting his mind into an instrument sharper than steel. Ordinary men fear silence because it forces them to confront themselves. Genius embraces it because it arms him to conquer others. In the end, genius is the art of ruling without chains. To the crowd, you may appear bound by the same laws, the same morals, the same customs. But in truth, you are free because you see them for what they are: costumes, inventions, illusions. The chains that bind others are strings for you to pull. The rules that restrict others are weapons for you to bend. The truths that paralyze others are myths for you to manipulate. And when the crowd wonders why you always seem untouchable, why you always rise while others fall, why fortune bends to your will, they will whisper the forbidden word, genius. They will not understand it, they will not define it, but they will feel it, and by then it will be too late, because while they struggled to live by illusions, you ruled them through them. The genius is not born to follow the same script as others. He looks at the laws, the customs, the sacred traditions, and he recognizes them not as eternal truths, but as instruments crafted by someone who came before him. Every law was written by a victor, every tradition enforced by a conqueror, every sacred word established to bind men into obedience. The herd bows to these rules as if they were carved by the gods themselves, but the genius asks, who carved them and for whose advantage? This single question shatters illusions. For once you see that every order is manufactured, you realize you too may manufacture it. You need not obey the script, you may write your own, and once you write it, others will bow as if it were divine, never realizing it was only your pen that gave it power. That is the first theft of genius, the theft of authorship over reality. This theft requires cunning as much as courage. To rewrite reality, you must first act as if you respect it. A ruler who insults the gods openly is assassinated. A man who spits on custom is shunned. Therefore, the genius bows publicly while mocking privately. He kneels at the altar while calculating how to replace the priest. He praises tradition while preparing to discard it. He cloaks himself in respect for the old order until the moment comes to reveal the new. In this deception lies survival. For the masses will forgive ambition so long as it is disguised as duty. They will forgive treachery so long as it is disguised as necessity. They will forgive cruelty so long as it is disguised as justice. Only a fool challenges illusions openly. The genius uses illusions as camouflage until he is strong enough to dictate new ones. But genius does not only manipulate illusions, it manipulates men themselves. To rule, you must understand that men are not rational creatures. They are predictable beasts, ruled by appetites and fears. They crave security more than freedom, pleasure more than wisdom, routine more than truth. This makes them malleable. The genius does not waste time convincing them with logic. He binds them with reward and terror. He knows that a small taste of pleasure makes men obedient, and a glimpse of punishment makes them loyal. He alternates them like a whip and a feast, keeping the crowd submissive while believing themselves free. In this lies the essence of power, to let men believe they chose their chains. When you make obedience feel voluntary, your dominion becomes unbreakable, and men, blind to their own nature, will even defend the very chains they wear. Restraint, however, remains essential. The genius does not indulge in cruelty for its own sake. He uses it like a surgeon's knife, swift and precise, cutting only where it secures authority. A ruler who revels in blood is soon despised, but a ruler who uses cruelty sparingly, then follows with displays of mercy, is adored. Men will fear you, but they will not hate you, and fear without hatred is the strongest foundation of power. This balance demands calculation. Strike swiftly, but not constantly. Show strength, but not arrogance. Use terror to establish control, then use mercy to cement loyalty. This rhythm disarms enemies and binds followers more securely than gold or affection. Genius is not measured in cruelty or kindness alone, but in the orchestration of both, deployed with cold precision. Do not imagine, however, that this path is without cost. Genius demands sacrifice not only of illusions, but of comfort, ease, and companionship. The higher your clarity, the fewer equals you will find. Ordinary men cannot bear the weight of your vision. They resent what they cannot understand. You will walk alone, misunderstood, envied, feared. They will call you arrogant for refusing their lies, cruel for refusing their weakness, dangerous for refusing their chains. But do not mourn their judgment. It is proof that you have ascended beyond them. Greatness is never born in consensus. It is forged in solitude. And if you must walk alone, walk with the knowledge that history itself will one day follow your path. Men curse living geniuses but worship their graves because distance makes their clarity less threatening. Accept the curse now to receive the worship later. In the quiet of your solitude, train your mind as others train their bodies. Sharpen it against the whetstone of history. Feed it on the failures of rulers. Temper it with the betrayals of friends. See the world not as a collection of stories, but as a battlefield of wills. Study men not as companions, but as specimens. Observe how they betray, how they flatter, how they crumble under pressure. Gather these lessons like a commander gathers intelligence before war. For war is the truest image of life, and life is nothing but politics drenched in bloodless conflict. The genius who studies war understands politics. The genius who studies politics understands war. To master both is to hold dominion over all men, for every throne is won by conquest, and every empire preserved by cunning. And so, remember this: genius is not a blessing, it is a burden. It will demand your isolation, your vigilance, your cunning, your restraint. It will demand you cloak yourself in illusions you despise, smile at men you plan to betray, praise traditions you plan to destroy. But it will also grant you sovereignty. It will make you untouchable, incomprehensible, feared, envied, and obeyed. The herd will never understand you, but they will never escape you. They will call your clarity dangerous, your ambition criminal, your dominance unnatural. Let them, for while they mutter in fear, you will shape their world. And one day, when they look back at the ruins of their illusions and the empire you carved from them, they will call it genius. The crowd worships stability, but the genius understands that permanence is an illusion. Nothing endures without force sustaining it. Nothing lasts without vigilance guarding it. Empires crumble, faiths fracture, wealth evaporates. The masses cling to the fantasy that their world is fixed, that tomorrow will resemble today. They invest their lives in fragile certainties, blind to the shifting ground beneath them. The genius lives in opposite rhythm. He assumes nothing is secure. He treats every fortress as vulnerable, every alliance as temporary, every advantage as fleeting. This suspicion is not paranoia, it is wisdom. It is the armor that prevents complacency, the discipline that sharpens vigilance, the clarity that sees collapse before it arrives. Where others are surprised by disaster, the genius has already prepared to profit from it. For in a world where everything decays, foresight is the only immortality. To wield foresight, you must master detachment. Men become blind by attachment to property, to status, to affection. They guard what they have so jealously that they fail to notice it slipping away. But the genius regards possessions, titles, and relationships not as anchors but as tools. He can discard them as easily as he acquired them. He loves when it is useful, abandons when it is necessary, sacrifices when it secures dominion. This detachment terrifies the masses, for they cannot comprehend a man who does not cling. Yet it is precisely this cold freedom that makes him untouchable. The rival who depends on wealth can be ruined with poverty. The rival who depends on affection can be ruined with betrayal. But the genius who depends on nothing cannot be ruined at all. He flows like water, adapting, reforming, reclaiming, never destroyed because he has never chained himself to what others mistake for permanence. Observe how fortune punishes the clingers and rewards the adaptable. A man who clings to outdated weapons dies on the battlefield. A ruler who clings to yesterday's allies is betrayed by tomorrow's. A thinker who clings to yesterday's truths is mocked by posterity. The genius survives because he clings to nothing but clarity itself. He is loyal only to power, and power changes shape with the seasons. If strength demands cruelty, he is cruel. If strength demands mercy, he is merciful. If strength demands silence, he is silent. He does not resist the river, he builds channels to control it. And in this he appears to the masses as if guided by fate, as if fortune itself bends to him. But fortune bends only to those who refuse to be broken by her changes. This adaptability is not cowardice, it is the highest expression of courage, for it demands the sacrifice of comfort, the embrace of risk, and the will to transform endlessly without losing purpose. And yet, adaptability without direction is chaos. The genius adapts not as a leaf tossed by the wind, but as a sailor steering the storm. He calculates which illusions to discard, which alliances to betray, which traditions to overturn, not by impulse but by necessity. He recognizes that chaos is useful when it weakens his enemies, but fatal if it consumes him. He allows others to drown in disorder while he rides above it, steady and unshaken. This balance between change and constancy is what makes him unassailable. To his enemies, he seems unpredictable. To his followers, inevitable. To history, indomitable. They call it luck, he knows it is discipline. They call it destiny, he knows it is foresight. They call it genius, he knows it is simply the refusal to be deceived by permanence. Understand this. The masses despise uncertainty, but they despise even more the man who thrives in it. They will envy you, hate you, curse you, and still follow you, because in their hearts they know you are better fitted to command the storm. They crave leaders who can make chaos seem ordered, who can turn uncertainty into destiny, and so they will kneel before you even as they whisper against you. This is the paradox of genius, to be envied yet obeyed, to be feared yet followed, to be hated yet indispensable. Accept this paradox without complaint. You do not exist to be loved, you exist to be obeyed. Love fades, envy festers, but obedience endures when it is born of awe. Awe is not admiration, it is submission to something incomprehensible. Be that incomprehensible force, and obedience will cling to you even when affection dies. But the genius must guard himself as carefully as he dominates others. Power does not only corrupt the weak, it corrodes the strong, who grow careless. The greatest danger is not from rivals but from within, from vanity, from arrogance, from indulgence in one's own image. Many men touch greatness and then decay because they begin to believe their own illusions. They drink the wine they once poured for others. They mistake masks for truth, applause for loyalty, spectacle for substance. This is the fatal intoxication of power, and it is more lethal than any enemy. The genius avoids it by remembering always that every mask is a disguise, every illusion temporary, every throne fragile. He never worships his own creations. He builds them, uses them, and replaces them when they weaken. He never believes he is untouchable, for belief in invincibility is the first step toward ruin. His vigilance is ceaseless, his suspicion unending, his clarity merciless. It is this discipline that preserves his sovereignty long after others have been consumed by their vanity. And so the genius moves through life as both creator and destroyer, master of illusion and slave to none. He shapes meaning while discarding it, embraces power while distrusting it, rules men while expecting their betrayal. He belongs to no one, not even to his own image, and because he belongs to nothing, nothing can own him. The herd will never comprehend this freedom. They will call it monstrous, inhuman, unnatural. Let them. Their chains are their comfort, and their comfort their coffin. You are not of them. You are something they cannot define, something they cannot predict, something they cannot contain. And when they finally bow, half in fear, half in awe, whispering that forbidden word, genius, they will not know whether they worship you or curse you, but it will not matter, for either way they will obey. The genius knows that history is not written by the virtuous, but by the victorious. Men may claim that justice carves the future, that truth shapes destiny, that morality crowns rulers. These are tales told to comfort the defeated. In truth, the pen that records history is dipped in the blood of those who dared and prevailed. Every empire stands not on virtue but on corpses, not on law but on force, not on justice but on cunning. The masses forget this, because they must. To admit it would shatter their illusions, and without illusions they cannot live. But the genius remembers. He studies not the stories of saints, but the strategies of tyrants. He does not read fairy tales of goodness rewarded, but chronicles of cunning rewarded. And he learns that history is not the triumph of morality, but the triumph of necessity. To walk as a genius is to accept this brutal fact, and to use it as your compass. Necessity. This is the true god of politics. Not virtue, not justice, not law. Men will cling to ideals when life is comfortable, but when survival trembles, they abandon them instantly. Hunger silences morality. Fear destroys loyalty. Ambition overpowers love. Genius is he who anticipates this collapse and builds power, not on ideals but on necessity. He gives men what they need: bread, protection, stability, and they will kneel, regardless of what they believe. He withholds it, and they will betray their priest, their king, even their own family. Do not overestimate the loyalty of men. It is a shadow cast by necessity. When necessity shifts, loyalty vanishes. The genius governs not with illusions of eternal devotion, but with constant control of necessity. He makes himself indispensable, and thereby untouchable, for as long as men need you, they will call you master, no matter what they think of you. This is why fear is more secure than love. Love is a luxury born of comfort, easily forgotten when survival is threatened. Fear endures even when famine reigns. Fear binds even when hope dies. Fear keeps men obedient even when they despise you. But fear must be tempered, for hatred is more dangerous than rebellion. To rule by fear alone is to invite conspiracies. To balance fear with controlled displays of mercy is to make your dominion eternal. The genius knows this balance instinctively. He appears merciful when cruelty threatens to breed hatred, and cruel when mercy threatens to breed weakness. He is not guided by conscience but by calculation, not by sympathy but by necessity. In this cold rhythm, he becomes more than a ruler, he becomes inevitability, and inevitability is worshipped even more than virtue. Understand that genius thrives not in peace but in conflict. Peace breeds complacency, dulls vigilance, fattens rivals. Conflict sharpens cunning, reveals weakness, separates the strong from the fragile. The masses fear conflict because it exposes their illusions. The genius seeks conflict because it exposes opportunity. He thrives where others collapse, profits where others perish, conquers where others cower. This is why history remembers him, because he appears when the world trembles, when the old order decays, when men cry for saviors. He does not arrive to save them, he arrives to rule them. They curse him for his cruelty, but they follow him for his clarity. For in times of chaos, men do not seek virtue, they seek direction, and he who provides it, no matter how ruthless, becomes their master. Yet the genius must beware of victory as much as defeat. Victory intoxicates. It whispers that you are invincible, that fortune loves you, that enemies cannot touch you. This intoxication has destroyed more rulers than defeat, for defeat humbles, but victory blinds. Genius survives because he resists this blindness. He treats every triumph not as a crown but as a test. He asks, what weakness did this victory conceal? What enemies did it provoke? What illusions did it create in me? He celebrates nothing, he calculates everything. His vigilance does not fade in triumph but grows sharper, for he knows rivals plot most fiercely when his guard is lowered. This cold suspicion is his shield, his armor against the most dangerous enemy of all, himself. Solitude remains his refuge. In solitude he cleanses himself from the poison of applause, from the intoxication of victory, from the lies of flatterers. Alone he strips himself bare, studies his own weaknesses, disciplines his own impulses. He knows that the greatest empire to master is not of men, but of the self. For the man who cannot conquer his vanity, his fear, his appetite, cannot conquer nations. The genius rules himself with an iron hand, so that he may rule others without trembling. His solitude is not loneliness, but command. It is in silence that his clarity sharpens, his strategy forms, his dominance renews. And when he emerges, he carries with him the aura of inevitability, the presence of a man who cannot be moved, cannot be broken, cannot be deceived. Others feel it instinctively, though they cannot name it. They call it genius. And so, remember this law: men will forget your kindness, but they will never forget your strength. They will dismiss your knowledge, but they will never dismiss your clarity. They will betray your friendship, but they will never betray their own fear of you. Build your dominion not on affection but on necessity, not on virtue but on calculation, not on hope but on inevitability. The world is not a garden of justice, it is a battlefield of wills, and on this battlefield, only those who see clearly, act ruthlessly, and adapt endlessly will endure. The herd may curse you as criminal, immoral, even monstrous. Let them. Their curses are proof of your clarity, and their obedience is proof of your genius. Make yourself the hinge upon which outcomes turn, not by begging for reverence, but by becoming the indispensable mechanism that keeps chaos at bay. When bread, safety, and direction seem to flow through you, men will call you necessary even as they curse you, and necessity dissolves resistance more thoroughly than sermons. Build redundancies, cultivate alternatives, keep spare levers hidden where only you can reach them. Let rivals scramble for appearances while you monopolize functions. The visible crown can be stolen, the invisible machinery cannot. Then when storms break, your presence will no longer be a preference but a premise, the quiet condition without which nothing works. The herd will not love the condition of their survival, they will simply obey it. In this way you pass beyond argument into architecture, beyond charisma into structure, beyond fame into inevitability. To sustain inevitability, govern the bloodstream of perception and the pulse of need. Symbols train desire, narratives justify extraction, and economics disciplines without spectacle. A crude tyrant seizes coins in daylight and breeds revolt. A cunning ruler moves value at night and wakes to applause. If you must extract, do it through gradients, never guillotines, through rituals of contribution, not raids, through the slow arithmetic that trades yesterday's virtue for today's compliance. Floods of credit feel like generosity, edicts of protection look like mercy, and a managed scarcity makes gratitude bloom where outrage should grow. Control what men praise, and you can price what they will tolerate. Control what they fear, and you can time when they submit. The instrument is not law, but dependence. The stage is not parliament, but belief. The chorus is not citizens, but habits rehearsed until they sound like truth. Yet the mechanism demands maintenance, and maintenance demands cruelty measured like dosage. Use a subordinate to concentrate the bitterness of necessary acts, then break him publicly and bind the crowd anew with your justice. Let one sharp spectacle of punishment furnish long seasons of order. Strike rarely, but when you strike, let the cut be complete, so that no fragment remains to plot your ruin. Then pivot to mercy while the echo still hangs in the air, not to atone but to anchor the memory of your balance. In that alternation, steel and silk, thunder and sun, you harvest fear without breeding hatred, and allegiance without inviting contempt. A ruler who cannot stage endings, cannot stage beginnings, leave no ambiguous wounds. Clean conclusions are the soil from which stable myths grow. Never let your masks harden into idols. The crowd grows bored with statues that do not move, and boredom invents courage. Retire symbols before they wear thin. Rotate saints and slogans. Refresh the choreography of loyalty. Some days you must speak as priest, others as general, others as merchant, always as sovereign. If yesterday's virtue has soured, bake a new one and let the ovens glow. If yesterday's enemy has withered, name a subtler threat and let men rehearse their unity against it. Tradition, when you author it, is innovation that forgot your name. Innovation, when you command it, is tradition that remembers your hand. Walk ahead of both. The fox detects the fatigue of forms, the lion supplies the force to replace them. Together they keep you modern to the living and ancestral to the unborn. Do not mistake applause for security. Applause is the noise of a crowd relieved of thought. It fattens the vain and blinds the skillful. Purge it from your diet. Keep one room where no praise can enter, where maps replace mirrors and numbers outvote dreams. Count the men who could hurt you if you slept. Count the levers they could pull if you smiled. Count the costs of your every comfort until comfort tastes of ash. Then return to the stage and bow with perfect humility. For humility is the softest armor and the strongest lure. Speak piously of limits while quietly removing them. Bless laws while writing their exceptions in your private hand. The sincere man dies applauded. The disciplined man outlives the applause. Understand that succession is not a ceremony but a weapon. Many empires die of inheritance because the heirs confuse possession with power. Teach your machine to obey principles, not faces. Bind offices to functions, not to flesh. Let processes do publicly what your will does privately, so that when you step aside to watch or to disappear, the system continues to kneel to the logic you designed. Keep aspirants competing for proximity, never for parity. Reward competence but forbid consolidation. Allow ambition to climb ladders that never reach your roof. If you must lift a man high, place him above a trapdoor only you can open and ensure he knows it. Gratitude evaporates. Geometry endures. Draw the angles of your house so that betrayal flows downhill and loyalty pools at your feet. And now, take your oath. Not to goodness, not to reputation, not to the fragile theater of being admired, but to clarity, to rhythm, to the quiet arithmetic of results. You will think as a fox and strike as a lion. You will appear devout while acting by necessity. You will grant small freedoms to conceal great control. You will endure solitude as the price of sovereignty. You will break your word only when keeping it would break your dominion, and you will never explain. You will measure success not by cheers but by compliance, not by beauty but by leverage, not by hope but by outcomes. You will carry your mind like contraband through borders built by cowards and sell its contents dear. It will feel illegal because it violates the invisible statute of mediocrity that forbids superiority. Break it. Walk past their sleeping guards with your contraband intact, and do not look back. When morning comes and the city wakes under rules it did not write, they will call it fate, they will call it providence, they will call it genius, and none of their names will touch you. If you've made it this far, it's because a part of you is already ready for this new path. A part of you has already understood that being praised means nothing if it requires you to remain blind. True genius begins the moment you choose clarity over comfort, even if it costs you being feared, envied, or alone. Now tell me in the comments, are you ready to be misunderstood, suspected, even hated in the name of your sovereignty? Are you willing to pay the price of seeing what others refuse to see? If this message touched you, if it made sense, write in the comments, genius is a crime against mediocrity. Let's see how many here are truly ready for this transition. And don't forget, keep watching the next video. It's important, much more than you imagine. See you there.